all about knowing where your food's coming from. Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is sustainability, seafood sustainability. Jamie's here. Jamie's off camera.
Hello, everybody.
And we get a lot of emails, industry emails on trends. And last week, one of the emails, or just the other day, earlier this week, one of the emails came out with like 5 or 6 articles on transparency, sustainability, storytelling, all about knowing where your food's coming from. And we've been doing this, since 98, 99. I've been really fascinated about where our food comes from and how it's produced, and what are the ups and what are the downs, and why we shouldn't be serving some of the food or eating some of the food. And of course, those are the foods we avoid here in Aroma Time. So what is this one article here, Jamie?
Sure. So Amanda how do you say her last name?
Baltazar. And she's actually covered me on a couple of articles
okay.
in the past.
This is Food News Feed. How to get diners excited about sustainable seafood.
How to get diners excited about sustainable seafood.
Chefs and operators use different methods to educate guests about where their seafood truly comes from. And so I'm going to go ahead and start reading the article. Restaurant goers are inundated with information from the farm their vegetables came from to the way their beef was raised. But the most difficult thing to provide details about is seafood. One of the most challenging places on the menu to feel you have transparency is seafood. It changes hands so frequently, and there's not a lot of transparency because of the nature of the product, says Andrea Reusing, chef owner of Lantern in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
That is so important. Seafood.
You've been an advocate for seafood for a very, very long time.
It was 1999. I was at the Culinary Institute of America. We were living in Colorado at the time. I was at the Culinary Institute of America at a sustainable conference, Chefs Collaborative Conference. And I just happened to sit next to Henry Lovejoy, the owner and founder of a company called EcoFish, brand new company.
We just saw him recently.
Just saw him,
so
yep.
After
Him and Lisa.
However many years.
They still operate a company called Henry and Lisa's Natural Seafood. It's found in Whole Foods and all kinds of health food stores across the country. They don't really do wholesale anymore, but they used to wholesale to restaurants. EcoFish was all founded on the story of the fish, where it's from, how it's caught, everything about a fish that was sustainable.
You were lucky enough to sit next to him at a conference.
Yes, a dinner. I sat next to him for dinner, and we started talking, and I was hooked immediately. I was like, I was always concerned with food and where our food was coming from. It was the perfect time to find a mentor or a teacher on that for me, and I just opened right up, and I was like, wow. And I came back to the restaurant in Colorado and started changing everything immediately, and was just really shocked with the food that I was serving. It was just really.
Once you start doing research.
Now I was fortunate enough in '94 to attend a seafood conference by Stephen Connolly. Stephen Connolly is one of the better seafood purveyors in Boston, and they always told us that every fish has to have a story. So, know where it's from. They even know the boats that it was caught on, because they contract with the captains of boats. They know a boat, when it was caught, and how it was caught. And the more information you know about the fish, the more transparent it is. So if you go to Restaurant Depot or you call Cisco and order, a case of frozen snapper, it might say origin Brazil or Indonesia or something, but you have no idea how it's caught. You don't know when it was caught. You know nothing about that. And a lot of restaurants, because folks, the restaurant industry is a tough business to make money in, and chefs cut corners as much as possible, just the nature of it. And salesmen walk in our door trying to save us money every day. They go, I got this new product that's going to save you money. And when you look at the product, a lot of chefs won't say, no, it's from China. It was whatever. This is all gill netted, and it's not, or it's unsustainable seafood to begin with. The population isn't strong enough. It comes from waters that are really in question. It's coming from the Mekong Delta, which is one of the largest waterways in the world, which is very polluted. People live on top of it. They have no modern plumbing, so everything falls into the Mekong Delta, right into the river there, and they raise fish there like crazy, crab there like crazy, tilapia, all kinds of things that get sent to the U.S. And this is the type of stuff that salesmen walk in and say, I can save you 50 cents a pound on the tilapia you're buying because I got this tilapia. And chefs really don't care that it's from the Mekong Delta. There's no story to it. There's no story, as opposed to tilapia that's raised, in North Carolina, which there is a great tilapia producer in North Carolina. It's sustainable. It's going to be $3-4 more a pound. Or let's say mahi mahi. You can get mahi mahi that's long line caught, net caught, or you can get mahi mahi that's caught with one hook, one line, which means there's no bycatch issues. No sea turtles are losing their lives. When you do long line catching, you're stringing mile of hooks out, thousands of hooks, and you let that sit out there all day baited, and you don't reel it up for hours later when all kinds of other fish are on it, like sea turtles, fish you're not supposed to be catching. And some people say, oh, well, bycatch, you can use the bycatch. A good friend of ours here who used to live in Ellenville, who was a commercial fisherman in the Carolinas, he said, Marcus, yeah, you throw those long lines out there, you wait several hours, you wait all day, they get hooked, you reel them in, and he goes, we're looking for mahi. We're looking for certain fish. He goes, some of the time, you get shark because you're on the wrong side of the current. We're not there to catch shark. We're not there to process shark. We're not there to do anything with shark. Shark's not our thing. So instead of saving the dollar to save the dollar on the hook, they cut the jaw off of the fish and throw it back in the ocean. And of course, the fish just sits there and dies. But this is all part of sourcing sustainable and having a story and knowing where your stuff is coming from and knowing that you're buying the right seafood. So seafood for me has always been, a place where I've always done a massive amount of research. So what else does this article say?
Reusing focuses on unused or trash fish, the fish we don't see very often, and fin fish that are low on the food chain, which reproduce and grow quickly like sea trout and Spanish mackerel.
Spanish mackerel is very sustainable, very good, high in omegas. But yet there are some companies out there that now are specializing in bycatch. These are the fish that are coming in from bycatch in the nets in Alaska, and they're good fish to eat. There's just no market for them.
Since it's important to source seafood responsibly, Reusing always asks for the catch method and the fish's Latin name. The latter, she says, tells her exactly what species a fish is, which is helpful since there are so many species. You also need to know exactly where a fish is caught because it can be different names depending on where it's caught.
Exactly.
So, then the article talks about talking the talk. So how important it is for your servers when you're in a restaurant, obviously in our restaurant, to be able to talk about these fish and be able to be educated on selling it to the consumer, to our guests.
Exactly. Because that's where the magic happens. If you can talk to the guests and explain and portray the story properly, right?
You need to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate that story and put the description on the menu to be able to sell that.
Right.
That
Exactly.
Product. Let's see. That's the gist of the article. I could read more.
So she said one important point in there about getting the Latin name of the fish or the species. A lot of times fish are sold on trade names. So, for example, Chilean sea bass is a trade name. It's a Patagonian toothfish. So they said, well, we can't sell Patagonian toothfish, so let's name it Chilean sea bass. Bass is a very popular fish. Bass sells. Anytime you put bass on a label, it sells. It's not bass at all, folks. It's Patagonian toothfish. It's an ugly fish. It's becoming extinct. The whales down there don't have. You're taking away the whales' food supply down there. A lot of the stuff is illegally fished because they're exceeding quotas. So the stuff is pirated in. And here's the biggest problem with buying fish from, especially frozen white or just fish fillets to begin with. Once you take the head off and the skin and you have a piece of white flesh, a lot of these people call it whatever they want. It's just and this happens very, very frequently, folks. A lot of these large importers into the country are falsifying the fish that they're catching so they can make more money on it. So I met a chef in Colorado, Jamie. He had a very famous, long-standing restaurant in Colorado, famous seafood restaurant, Colorado Springs there. He was bragging at a chef's meeting one time that he saves on his food costs because he serves tilapia, no skin on, skinless, boneless tilapia, just a fillet, and he was calling it snapper. And he can charge that much more. So he's paying $2.50 a pound for cheap fillet of tilapia, and high quality snapper might be $10 a pound headed and gutted fish. Massive price difference. And he's sitting there bragging to other chefs that this is what he does. And I said, this is shameful. It's astonishing. And of course, since then I've seen chefs do all kinds of things and just totally mislead consumers into thinking something's grass-fed. Tom Colicchio did it. Said if something was grass-fed, it's not grass-fed. Saying something's wild caught. Salmon is very, very popular. A lot of chefs don't really understand the difference between wild salmon and farm salmon. They think because salmon comes from the ocean in big, massive pens with 250,000 other fish sitting there, they think that it's wild because it's from the ocean. And somebody like Maria Loy, the famous Greek chef, I've had conversations with her, and she swears that because the fish is living in the ocean, that it can be called wild on her menu. She has one of the most famous Greek restaurants in New York City, and she argued with me, and I said, you can't do that. It's not. I eat it every day, and it's delicious, and it's this and that, and it's farmed Atlantic salmon the lady's selling. It's astonishing what these chefs get away with. And celebrity chefs, Wolfgang Puck. We caught Wolfgang Puck's restaurant, Spago in Vegas. The partner came to the table and apologized that we caught their typo on their menu for wild salmon versus farm salmon. Steven Starr was another one of Steven Starr's restaurants in Philadelphia. China Grill told us they had farm-raised calamari from Maine one time, and you don't even farm-raise calamari. It's not feasible to do that. So chefs and restaurants sometimes just tell you whatever they want. Was there any other points to this article?
So I just like the last part of it. It's a labor of love tied to a place, and we as chefs, foodies, authors need to show our support and implement changes in our own ways. I really like that. That was kind of a good end to the article. Just, you know what? Take the time, the effort, do the research. That's why people are paying to come to you.
Yep. And if you're a chef or if you're a consumer and you're interested in eating better seafood, there's lots of seafood guides out there now, like MSC.
And with the internet,
you look it right up. We used to hand out cards, pocket guides, before you used to have the smartphones, so you could go to restaurants and see. We used to hand those out here. You can go on to Monterey Bay Aquarium. You can go on to Marine Stewardship Council, Friends of the Sea. There's tons and tons of different things. I like Food Choice, fishchoice.com, which lists all the ratings. So for chefs now, it's easy to get that. And these fisheries will now put the MSC logo on the box. They have to pay for it because the MSC is a business, for-profit business, I believe. It costs like $1,000 or $1,500 to get certified and up from there. But yeah, so it does cost money, but you can see that somebody is at least monitoring. And I got to be honest with you, MSC, Monterey Bay Aquarium, they all have loopholes in them, but at least it's a guideline and a start, and it's holding somebody accountable. So it is a start, and there are some things I disagree with them on, which maybe that would make a good video, some of the things I disagree with Monterey Bay Aquarium on. But of course, they need to supply the masses with better quality seafood, and they've done a good job at doing that for years and years. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like our videos, please hit like, subscribe to our channel, and check out aromatimebistro.com. Check out chefonamission.com, and we'll see you soon.